Let's talk off campus. Off Campus has been the newest hit show. This hockey romance is an adaptation of the 2015 book, The Deal. Romance book adaptations, or book adaptations in general, have always been a hot topic because of people debating whether it's done well or not, or if it's accurate or not. Well, for someone who has read the book, I'm here to tell you that Off Campus was not only a good show, it was a great adaptation. They still kept true to the essence of the book while making changes that worked fantastically for a show and what they intended it to be. So let's see some of the big changes they made and why it worked so well. The first scene of the show, and Hannah and Garrett's meet cute, so to say, is when Hannah is cleaning the hockey arena and Garrett is practicing in the hockey ring. As she cleans the men's locker room, Garrett is taking a shower and they meet. In the book, this scene does not exist. Instead, the first scene of the book and their meet cute is in their philosophical ethics class. They're getting their grade back and Garrett realizes that he failed. On their way out, they stumble upon each other and Garrett sees Hannah's grade. After seeing her grade, he starts pestering her about tutoring him. Well, in the meet cute in the show, the reason it changed was because the creator wanted to tell the audience immediately that this was going to be a spicy show. And she also wanted to play with the idea that Hannah and Garrett have been always kinda around each other.
We wanted something to kick us right in and tell audiences, whether they're book fans or not, that this show is going to be a little steamier. I got really excited about this idea that Hannah and Garrett have been in each other's orbits for a while and just not crossing.
I love the idea that Hannah and Garrett have always been in each other's orbits because it makes sense. They're in college. Also, in the book, Hannah does not have that hockey cleaning job, but I love that addition in the show because it just makes sense with what we find out later and her financial situations. It also allows Hannah and Garrett to have these memorable encounters before their story kind of starts. Also, in terms of an introduction for a romance show where it's kind of like an opposite attraction, it's a great way to introduce both of these characters being at opposite ends while connecting them through something, which in this case is the song that's playing. Their connection to music becomes an important part of their relationship, and we get to see that play out a lot in the beginning. Another big change from the book to the show is this music connection between Hannah and Garrett. Hannah working at the hockey arena also allows this encounter to happen. In the scene, Hannah and Garrett are both having a rough time. Garrett is not playing well and in a bad mood because of his dad, and Hannah just saw, spoiler alert, the guy who sexually assaulted her in high school. To get a breather, Hannah goes to the green room and starts jamming out to an Elton John song. Garrett stumbles upon the room and sees Hannah just having a fun time, and his mood gets lifted, making him play better during the second half of his game. This scene makes their connection to music obvious. They are both having a day, and they are, in a way, both getting uplifted by music. Garrett more by Hannah, but that's also an important aspect of the scene. At this point in the show, even though Hannah and Garrett have already 2 encounters where they talk, Garrett actually still doesn't know her name. So in this instance, this basically random girl to him is uplifting his mood, and it kind of starts Garrett's attraction towards Hannah. Like the first scene of the show, this scene also does not exist in the book. In the first scene of the book, where they meet in the philosophical ethics class, Hannah actually introduces herself already. I love that this show added this Elton John encounter, and Garrett not knowing Hannah's name is kinda a cherry on top because it shows the audience that they have this connection even before they really know each other. Once their deal starts in the show, the music connection becomes more apparent. In the show, their first overnight scene happens at a party. When they are in the room, they start connecting through Instagram reels and showing each other music. In the book, this sleepover scene does happen, but in a slightly different way. Instead of connecting through music and Instagram reels, they connect through watching Breaking Bad. I know a lot of fans wanted this moment to happen because it's kinda an important scene in the book. For Garrett, it is where he realizes something, saying, "I haven't had this much platonic fun with a girl, well, ever." Breaking Bad also serves as the way that Garrett makes Hannah feel comfortable when he agrees to help her with the orgasm. During the scene, Hannah is really nervous and wants to get started right away, but Garrett makes her comfortable by putting on Breaking Bad and making her change out of her outfit. Go change out of that grease costume and put this on. I'll get the next disc ready. Instead of Breaking Bad, in the show, Garrett tells Hannah to choose a song to set the mood. She chooses one of his most played songs, and before they do anything, they start just dancing with Garrett doing his little sexy dance. After they talk about the song, Baby Now That I Found You by the Foundations, Hannah asks Garrett what the song makes him feel, and Garrett responds that it makes him feel bold.
It makes me feel bold.
Bold?
Yeah, like to just say, I like you, deal with it.
And skipping forward, Hannah ends up confessing to Garrett with this song. Besides all this, to strengthen the music connection between Hannah and Garrett, the show made one of the biggest changes from the book, and it is changing Justin from a football player to a musician. I thought this choice was brilliant because it just made Justin and Hannah have this connection on paper. They are both musicians, so they make sense on paper. But Hannah ends up connecting not with the musician, but with the hockey player. So it just brings more depth to Hannah and Garrett's relationship. And Hannah realizes it too when she asks Justin in one of the scenes what a particular song makes him feel.
What does it make you feel?
I mean, jealous I didn't write it first.
I also like this change because it makes Justin not only be a juxtaposition to Garrett, but he also kind of contributes to Hannah's arc and kind of becomes a lesson to Hannah. As a musician, Justin ends up helping Hannah with the lyrics of her song. But after not liking the lyrics and Justin performing the song without Hannah's permission, they get into a fight. And in that fight, Justin becomes the first one to tell her that she should write her own lyrics, leading her to actually do. Talking about Hannah's musical arc/journey, that's another big change from the books. In the book, Hannah is a music major with an emphasis on vocal performance. She's preparing for a winter showcase where she'll perform a duet with someone named Cass, and they'll be singing a song composed by a composition major named MJ. Cass ends up being an asshole and gets MJ to side with him. 2 weeks before the winter showcase, they dump Hannah, and now Hannah has to perform a solo with one of her written songs. The performance ends up going well, and she wins the performance scholarship. So basically, in the book, Hannah's journey is less of a musical journey and more about how she starts off performing with someone and then ends up learning that she is good enough to do a solo. In the show, they took this musical aspect from Hannah in the book and made it more of a whole journey for her that ties it in more with her past. She starts off classical. She enters a pop showcase because she needs the money, and this kind of jumpstarts everything for her. She doesn't really have any experience with pop and writing lyrics. She has this songwriting hurdle that kind of stems from her sexual assault, revealing that the past is still haunting her, even though she thought she got over it. At the end, she manages to write lyrics after getting reminded of who she is by Garrett and revealing her truth to her best friend Allie. This whole songwriting journey allows her to finally open up and accept what has happened to her. Giving her this arc in the show was such a nice touch because it gave her this hurdle and this internal struggle that she didn't know she had. And through the help of her most important relationships, Garrett and Allie, she ends up overcoming it. Speaking of Garrett, let's look at his arc. In the show, his internal struggles stem from his dad, and his whole journey is about overcoming those. Because his dad physically abused his mother and him, he's scared that he'll become like his dad. In addition to that, since he was forced to play hockey at a young age, for the first time he puts into question whether he loves hockey or he's just playing it because that's all he knows. When he comes across Hannah's assaulter and realizes that he's the guy, Garrett starts beating him up. Pretty deserved in my opinion, but the higher-ups don't see it that way. After that, the coach seriously asks Garrett if he loves hockey. At the same time, he gets into a fight with Hannah because he punched the assaulter. And Garrett breaks up with her because he misinterpreted what Hannah meant about her being scared and believed that he is turning violent like his dad. Even after the breakup, Hannah ends up being the one who makes him see that he does love hockey and that he does have a good reason to play. After this, he also realizes that he can confide in his best friend Logan about his dad, and he does. Logan then ends up being the one that tells Garrett that he's not like his dad and convinces Garrett to win Hannah back. In the book, his dad is also an asshole, maybe even a bigger asshole, and you'll see why. But Garrett doesn't really have internal struggles because of him. Instead, his dad becomes more of an external problem. Garrett does get questioned by Hannah if he does like hockey or if he's just playing it because of his dad, but Garrett quickly responds that he does love it. He pushed me into it. I was skating before I even hit the first grade, but I kept playing because I love the sport. Towards the end of the book, instead of coming across Hannah's assaulter, he comes face to face with the assaulter's friend, someone who testified against Hannah in court. By the way, that's another change that the show made that I actually really liked because it makes more of an impact to have the assaulter there than the assaulter's friend. But anyways, Garrett ends up beating him up. After this, Hannah distances herself from Garrett, making Garrett think that maybe she is scared of him. But when they talk, Hannah quickly dispels that. She's actually pretty happy that Garrett punched him, saying, "I don't blame him for losing his temper. In fact, some spiteful part of me is glad that Rob, aka the friend, took a fist to the face." The reason that Hannah starts distancing herself from Garrett is because Garrett's dad told Hannah to break things off with him because he sees Hannah as a distraction. Garrett at the moment is financially tied to his dad, so the dad basically tells Hannah to break things off with Garrett or he'll cut Garrett off. I like that they modernized the story in the show to kind of change the scene around to make Garrett be the one to break it off and have the dad be just a side character. I think for one, the storyline of having a parent be the obstacle of a relationship is kind of an outdated trope. Also, the show's focus was on Hannah and Garrett, and if they made Garrett's dad be the cause of the breakup, it wouldn't have allowed Hannah and Garrett to have these arcs. So with Garrett's dad being an external problem, what was Garrett's internal arc? In a way, it was because Garrett never had a girlfriend before, but then Hannah came along and he realizes that he has been lonely. "I was broken before I met you," I mumble. "My entire life revolved around hockey and being the best, and proving to my father that I didn't need him. I didn't let myself get close to girls because I didn't want to be distracted from my goals. And I knew that if I did get close to someone, I would leave them in a heartbeat once I got drafted. I didn't let a single person in, not even my closest friends, and then you came along, and I realized just how fucking lonely I've been." Garrett definitely had his moments in the book. And with season 2 coming, maybe this will be the storyline of Hannah and Garrett. But we'll see. And speaking about Garrett and his moments, let's talk about the boys. First of all of them are F-boys. Not toxic F-boys, good-natured and definitely charming F-boys. The show changed that, and I think it was partly to give everyone kind of their own personalities and their own lane. More importantly, the show was very intentional to represent these boys in the most non-toxic way that they could. Obviously to fit the modern romance landscape because toxic male leads were so last decade. They definitely wanted all of them to be the greenest flag. Let's talk Dean. He's the only one where the F-boy status from the book stayed for the show. When we get introduced to the boys in the book, Dean is currently hooking up with someone in the living room and Garrett describes him. He's a total and completely unapologetic about it. As we can see, the general thing that makes Dean didn't really change from the book to the show. And in the book, we actually do not find out a lot about him besides his lifestyle. In the show, he gets a lot more focus for obvious reasons. And because he gets more focus, they wanted to give Dean more layers and really drive home the fact that he is not your typical romance F-boy. He's the greenest flag of F-boys, and we get to see that in this moment when Garrett asks Dean for advice about his first night with Hannah.
Well, there's one thing that helps make a girl come. Trust.
In the book, the one that Garrett asked for advice is actually Birdie, another teammate. But I love that they made this change in the show because, again, it gives us more layers to Dean and obviously it makes us swoon for him. Next, we have Logan. After talking about Dean being promiscuous, Garrett goes on to talk about himself, Logan, and Tucker. I'm no monk, and neither are Logan and Tuck. What can I say? Hockey players are horny mother. Also, when Logan first meets Hannah, he checks her out and immediately starts flirting with her. His sultry gaze does a slow and deliberate sweep of my body, lingering on my chest before traveling back up. You don't want to upset me, do you, gorgeous? Definitely a slightly different vibe from the Logan in the show. In the show, he's the fixer of the group, fixing things physically and emotionally. He also silently has a crush on Hannah. To add that green flag to him, they added this scene of the closed cans.
Here, try this. Closed cans are safer, bro.
Moving on to Tucker, in the show, they just removed his F-boy status, but both in the book and the show, he's the cook and the caretaker of the group. One thing they did add to the show is this protecting his food storyline, which kinda hints towards his book. And now to Garrett. Like the others, he's an F-boy, but he's a charmer, a gentleman, and the greenest flag. And you can already see that with what I've already talked about. In addition to that, I have to talk about this line. While they're on the phone, Garrett asks if Hannah can put him on speakerphone so that Garrett can listen to her sing. Hannah says that he can hang up if he gets bored, but Garrett responds with, "Baby, I could watch you watching paint dry and I still wouldn't be bored." No wonder people fell in love with Book Garrett, but we also fall in love with Show Garrett. In the show, the only thing they did is made him a bit less cocky and added some small scenes to really highlight this gentle side of Garrett.
I don't need to turn around. You're about to see me naked.
Yeah, but not until you want me to.
At this point, we have no choice but to love him. In terms of character, there's not too much difference between the Garretts, but there's a small change that the show did. So let's talk about the campus-wide hands-off rule. In the book, Hannah breaks up with Garrett, and instead of giving him the real reason, for obvious reason, she came up with the excuse that she wants to see other people. Garrett immediately does not believe her, and to prevent her from going through with it to prove a point, he invokes the campus-wide hands-off rule. I knew if you went out with anyone else, you would end up regretting it, and then you would feel like an when you finally came to your senses. And, well, I wanted to spare you all the pain and suffering. You're welcome. I think this is definitely a fan favorite moment because it's kind of funny and it also shows how confident Garrett is and that Garrett knows that Hannah is his. In the show, they did have the campus-wide hands-off rule, but Garrett is not the one who did it, and I totally understand why they changed it. It kind of goes against the Garrett that they established in the show.
Look, I would never tell anyone to stay away from you. You should be with whoever you want to be with.
Also, it wouldn't really have made any sense in the show because Garrett is the one who broke things off and not Hannah. But I did love that they still included this moment in the show, and you can definitely tell that it was for the fans. And it also allowed them to show who Show Garrett is, a Garrett who wouldn't cross that boundary. Before closing out this video, I want to talk about Ellie and Dean. Obviously, the book does not include any Ellie and Dean moments because it's the Hannah and Garrett story. But with the show and with the ensemble cast, you kind of want multiple storylines going on. So I really love that they already got started on Ellie and Dean, even though it's the third book of the series. And for me, it totally makes sense that Ellie and Dean would have already encountered each other because of Garrett and Hannah. Also, I don't think people anticipated how much they would steal the show. Now, like the show intended, everyone is excited for season 2. The show definitely made some bigger changes, but I think the changes worked really well because they still kept to the essence of the book. They only modernized the story and made it fit to the show's format, and thus I think this is a great adaptation, and honestly one of the best ones in my recent memory. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.